What's up again, my friends? Welcome to Carpo's channel, once again. You know, today I'm going to talk about anxiety, and it's something I know well. And so, without further ado, I thought I would start off with a text I got earlier. Before I came out to make this video, I was going to talk about anxiety and life and my experiences. And I got a text from a friend who said, "Hey, I want your input on something." He said, "Why is it that our generation is so hung up on trivial things and BS, and why can't they just live life for life's enjoyment and just enjoy life, since we have a short time here and we might as well make the most of it?" And my response was along the lines of that most people are trying to enjoy it as best as possible, but we have different circumstances which cause difficulties in our lives and different levels of being able to handle the situations that come our way. But also I said I don't think it's a generational thing at all. It's just people in general. All age groups tend to make big things out of small things. And we shouldn't be faulted for it. It's human nature to do this. The control, the Zen component of it comes when we learn how to deal with it. And we learn how to suppress those overbearing primal feelings of stress and anxiety when they come. They're going to come. We're going to have moments where we're like, whoa, taken, caught off guard. We're going to be frightened. We're going to have fight or flight. And hopefully we still have that circuitry active, because we need to be able to act when something happens. Unfortunately, in today's world, we lead pretty simple lives, and they're, at least for most in the West. Regardless, I guess it's all perspective, but that's another angle I wanted to cover. It's not about a simple life. Nobody really has a simple life. Life is hard. Life throws a lot of shit at us. And from the other end, it always seems that other people maybe just are taking other things too seriously, or they're not enjoying life enough. But the reality is that we can't see in another person's mind. We never will be able to. And trying to understand ourselves is the closest we can come to understanding others. And we owe it to the world to try to understand other people. And to ourselves. It makes life easier. So, I just wanted to go over a few things that I found, and a few things that have happened in my life, so you know that I'm not just some, rich suburban white boy or something who's grown up with a silver spoon. My parents worked hard and suffered and, filed bankruptcy and had problems. My dad tried to be a truck driver for a while, but we did okay. We had food on the table, check to check or not, we were able to live. And over the years, as I got older, I started to realize how anxious I was as a youth. We moved around a bit. When I was 9, I moved, and then at 10, and then at 12, 13, and 15. I must have moved 8, 10 times over the course of my youth. Nobody's fault, it's just circumstance. And my parents got divorced when I was about 12. And all the while I thought, oh, things are okay, whatever. Looking back in retrospect, I have many nervous habits. You might even call them mild Tourette's. I have nervous habits where I'll twitch my head or, grind my teeth. Was a long one for a while. It was bruxism, is what they call it. And I've learned to cope with these things. But anxiety is why you step over cracks on the sidewalk, that kind of thing. It causes a form of, you could blend ADD and OCD. I really don't like those terms, because I think everybody has a blend of these components of confusion, and some people apply it in better ways. Maybe they focus their energy better than others, but everybody has different levels of being able to cope with the anxieties, and everybody manifests it in their own way. So for me, I just kind of suppressed it, but at the same time I learned how to speak out and learned how to vocalize what I wanted to say and express myself, express my feelings in life, so I don't feel like I'm boiling over, if you will. And, of course, if anxieties weren't bad enough, when I was younger moving around, then after I got a little older, I had acne, really bad acne in high school. So I always had zits all over my face. I was a kid, I was a goofy, oafy kid, and I was generally kind of regarded as kind of an oafy guy. And it was because I tend to have a bad posture, and I've tried to improve that over the years. But point being that when you're young, you get picked on. And that's just something so many people go through. How we process that and handle that later in life is what's important. I've learned some of the most important lessons are about letting things go and not letting things get to you. not letting people get you down, not letting things get dragged out too far to where you are obsessing over the small things, like my buddy was saying. It becomes an issue when we're obsessed about things that don't really matter, that don't affect our lives as much as we think, when we're just looking for a fight or an argument or an excuse to be angry or frustrated or depressed. And then some people become victims, and they enjoy the anxiety and depression and don't even realize it. I think most people, this isn't the case, but there are a few people who, maybe they're really not sad, they just use sadness as an excuse, and that's kind of, their folly, because it's at the expense of those who are truly suffering from depression, from true anxiety. I've had anxiety so bad that I thought I was going to just freak out and panic in my early 30s, and I went to the doctor, tried to get prescription for Valium. I thought that I could medicate it, and in the long run I've realized I'm happier not medicating with pharmaceuticals, but I still medicate in my own way. I smoke cannabis, I do take kratom, I drink coffee. I have my faults and my follies, but life is short and complicated and confusing, and really I don't give a shit what other people think about my habits or my behaviors, because it's not my concern what others think. And it's amazing how many other people have a problem with how certain people live their lives. Now, if living your life is harming others, that's one thing, but when you're just living your life to your own, and you get vegans, let's say, attacking you for not being a vegan, or you get somebody attacking you for your political views, or because you believe a certain thing or don't believe a certain thing. Really, I think we should be looking for the connections, because we're happier when we look for things that are similarities between us and other people. If we're always looking for the differences, we'll surely find them. So, I don't want to make this video too long, but I did want to read a couple things out of this journal. I was just flipping through it, and this is my little leather-bound journal that I got a few years ago. And once in a while I write in here about just things that I find interesting, and I thought I'd read my a little list of rules of living, and these ones have helped me overcome anxiety and depression in my life, or at least overcome new anxieties and depressions from forming. Treat others with the respect you desire, not with the respect you're given by others. And that's a big one for me, to realize, even though people treat me like shit, treating them like shit isn't going to make anything better. But, of course, you still have to stand your ground when people are total jerks. But don't let others dictate your behavior. Try not to judge, yet accept that your mind may do so without your consent, and observe people. Just learn, Don't obsess over what happened in the past, learn from it. Don't fear the unknown in the future, embrace the present. And that's some obvious fucking bullshit that everybody knows. Be tolerant of opinions, even when you believe they're wrong. Always a reason for a treason. And I don't remember, I wrote this a long time ago, but I still think it resonates with me. I don't like the word tolerance anymore. I like the word accept, or consider, because tolerant means you're putting up with something you don't agree with, but sometimes you do have to be tolerant of opinions. You just don't have to tolerate the outcome of what those opinions bring. I won't go into detail on that, but embrace art, music, and creativity until you're confident that your creations are worthy of you. In other words, be worthy of the things that you create, and be as interesting as the things that you have. It's something that we have to, cultivate within ourselves. It reminds me of a Bukowski poem I heard the other day. It's talking about how, showing a guy with all his art around him, and how people build resentment in a way towards those who create, because there's creators and then there's consumers of those creations. And no matter how much art you buy, if you can't paint, you can't paint. If you don't teach yourself, you never learn. It's that kind of thing. I don't know. Don't want to get off track. Remember that children, adults, and elderly all share this experience of life, and none are wiser by age unless they earn it. People who act spiteful are often fragile, and opening up to them can help you both. Closing down and retaliating only divides further, and I found this ever true, especially on YouTube. When somebody comes at me with some hateful comment, and I respond with a question of, hey, do you need a friend kind of attitude, without being harsh. And sometimes people are too much of jerks, and I respond in kind, but, sometimes you can tell a person's just lonely, and they're looking for a response. It's like a child who is looking for attention regardless of whether it's bad or good. And unfortunately, bad news always gets the attention. This one is important for me. Observe happy people and try on their thoughts. And there are so many people that resist those who seem happy as if it must be fake, they must be full of shit. Try on other people's thoughts. Really consider, maybe other people have found a way to lead a better life that would work for you. There is no one size fits all for all of us. We know that. But for you, personally, there might be a specific way that you're missing that might make you happy. Different personality types, different interests. Seek out archetypes and learn the stories. And that's easy. Learn about mythology and understand some of these repeating stories so we can better identify things when they're happening. And I could get into that on another video. Never hide from what your heart knows is truth, but consider it carefully. The heart has been known to lie. And never complicate life to the point you're unable to enjoy simplicity, which goes with the next one. Watch every sunset and sunrise you can. Those are the simple pleasures. If you can't derive pleasure from a sunset or a sunrise, there's something wrong with you. Of course, that's just a joke, but not really. It's just always amazing, no matter how many you see. Take accountability for your own failures, not just your successes. And a lot of folks, we do want to just say, oh, I did a good job on this, but not admit our failures, and the failures help us learn as part of the process. Laugh at yourself regularly and life, and never try to force your views on others. Just present them. So I was going to read this other one too, but it gets too long and too detailed. I'll just read you this final poem that I wrote. It's kind of it was done in a different colored pen. I guess this was just last year. It's called Enemies. We tackle enemies based not on their potential dangers, but our ability to find fault in them. We find fault in each other for our follies, yet not to improve all people, but to boost our own egos. We boost our own egos so we don't have to admit we have weaknesses and look within for answers. We look within because subjective reality is most convincing, but we do not trust our own discoveries. We fail to trust ourselves because we are so often mistaken about what we should be doing in life. We live life and do our best, look within and without, see our strength and our weaknesses, boost our egos and others, see our follies, and soon we have no enemies worth battling. So, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Appreciate that people care what I have to say. And thanks to all my subscribers. And I hope you all have a wonderful day now. Take care, and remember, the little things aren't worth griping about. But it's up to us to distinguish and determine which things are worth fighting and which things are worth fighting for. And observation of the world around us sometimes the best key or cue we have to understand what's going on. But often that leads us astray too. So just remember not to let it eat us alive inside. The butterflies don't belong in your stomach. You don't need to be anxious. You don't need to be depressed. You need to be making the most of the moment we have. And I didn't get into the other side of it. As I said, I told my friend, I said, it depends on if you're talking about a secularist or somebody who's religious. Because if you ask, why do people fritter away this life? Well, if you're a secularist, well, who knows? If you're religious, you might think the next life is better. And honestly, I feel really bad for people who think that the next life is going to be magnificent and that it's okay to waste this one away, because they might be missing out on something amazing. Be well, my friends. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for coming to Carpo's channel, yo. Yeah.